right, so Chariots of Fire, of course, running. It's only a part of the D10. I am blown away by what I'm about to say, which is it's starting its 11th season, also known as the Wall Street Decathlon. Its founder, the guy who envisioned it and puts it into action every year, Dave Maloney, he's here with us in our Bloomberg Interactive Brokers studio. Great to see you, man.
It is awesome to be back.
All right. Well, it's nice to have you here with Carol and myself. So bring us up to date. 2020, as I said, the 11th season. What's new and different about this year's D10?
Well, the good thing is the series of events remain the same. So people, for those that like consistency, that remains. What's new and different this season?
And remind us what people are doing to prove that they are the fittest man or woman on Wall Street.
Well, I think they're doing the 6 events from the NFL Combine plus 4 track and field events, and it's all done to raise money for pediatric cancer.
You guys have raised $14.7 million. Is that right? I'm looking at your website.
That's correct.
That's pretty wonderful, to say the least. That's really fabulous. Tell us a little bit more. Like, I am curious, too, about the mix. Who are the people that are doing it? Men, women? What's the mix there? I'd like to see more women doing it.
Us, too. And I think to that end, what's new this year is really we are conscious of our origin, which is we were the event to crown Wall Street's best athlete, and that lent itself more toward a male demographic 11 years ago when we were founded. I think in this day and age, we recognize that just as other events similar to the D10 have been able to achieve gender parity, have been able to bring equality to the playing field, that is a focus of the D10 this season. And we think that what an awesome story to really empower the men across the financial services industry that have really dominated the D10 for the past decade, to give them the tools and I think really the resources and incentives to ensure that success this year isn't simply defined by who wins or who loses. Mm-hmm. It's not solely defined by how much money is raised for an incredible cause, but also, can we bring gender parity and equality to the playing field? I think this year we can.
And remind us also who and sort of where you draw from, because it is, obviously the Wall Street Decathlon, but, you're drawing from lots of different types of firms. I mean, I know a lot of people who have done it, and it's not just, the Goldmans and the Morgan Stanleys of the world, although they're there.
They are there. So I think we've been lucky that when we started, we were dominated by participants representing the sell-side banks. What we have found over the past 10 years is that same demographic has branched not just into the buy side, but that same man or woman who may have otherwise continued on in a career at Goldman Sachs or at JP Morgan has gone into, what do you think? They've gone into fintech. Right. They've gone into technology. Right. So I think demographically speaking, it remains the same. But nowadays, you see those folks who have gone over to the Slack, the Stripe, the Salesforce, the Pinterest, the Googles, right, who have branched out. And so we're seeing now even more diversity among the companies who are participating.
So talk to us about media participation in all of this, especially when there's such a demand for content. What kind of deals are you doing, want to be doing? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So, our media is rather unique, and here's why. To watch the D10, we actually built intelligent streaming technology that we've spoken about previously called Norma, which allows really, I think, the millennial and Gen Z audience to tune in to live sports content at the perfect time, at a time in which they set effectively a notification to tell them when to watch the show. So what we are this year focusing on, which is new, is in that live feed, in that live content, giving people actionable click-throughs so that they're not passively consuming that content, but rather, for example, seeing that contextually relevant advertisement push through in a notification once that clip that they have been waiting to watch, once it completes, now you can give them an action step. That's new for us this year. We want to see that. We want to see what those conversions are like.
And so when you think about the sponsorship underneath this, the folks on the commercial side, this is a very attractive audience in many ways. You and I have talked about this a lot over the years. Sure. In this regard. How are you seeing that develop in terms of both the suppliers, the consumers of this, and also some of the companies who may want to get a piece of this?
It's a fantastic question. When we started out, the sponsors that were most attracted to this audience were those that you would think of immediately. Your first response is luxury timepiece manufacturers, private jets, and things of that nature. That's changed. What we're seeing nowadays are the DTC, the direct-to-consumer companies, the startups who do want to see that penetration into that influencer audience. And we don't necessarily have the traditional Instagram influencer audience. We have those professional influencers, meaning the folks that might run a desk or run a business unit. Those are the folks that they want to penetrate.
Right.
Once somebody does participate in a D10 race, I mean, do they stick with you and are with you for years? Just quickly.
Median duration of somebody's D10 career nowadays is 4 years. Okay. And we think that's a testament to the shoulder programming throughout the season. So it's not a transaction any longer. It's not a one-time event that you do in June in New York, but rather there's a steady cadence of games that are played at gyms year-round, which then makes the stickiness factor last year-round.
All right. Cool. Great to catch up with you. Hopefully we'll catch up with you as the race gets closer here in New York City. That's coming up in June. Dave Maloney is the founder of the D10, also known as the Wall Street Decathlon, joining us here in our Bloomberg Interactive Broker studio.